Thank you so much for listening to The Vibe with Tanya Rad and EJ. So I'm very, very excited to introduce you guys to my guest today. She is one of the hosts of one of my favorite podcasts, The Morning Toast, that I actually talked about on the show a few weeks ago. So please welcome Jackie Oshry to The Vibe.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm a big Tanya Rad fan, and I'm so excited about your new show, and I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's actually really, really nice because, you know, you do your podcast with your sister. It's two girls. You do it every day. You do it on YouTube and you air it as a podcast. And I have a podcast with my best friend, Becca Tilley. And so I think it's so nice because we just fully support each other so much. You know what I mean? And I think that's such a huge thing, especially for me right now. Like I love women helping each other and empowering each other, not being competitive. And I feel like our podcasts really do that with each other. You know, like we just want the best for you guys. And I feel the same way that you guys feel about us.
No, totally. We're totally podcasts who support other podcasts, but I really do feel as though you set the tone for that in so many ways. I remember the first time that we had you guys on our show and we met you, like you are just like so uplifting and supportive of your friends and fellow podcasters. And it's really inspiring. It's like, of course I want to be supportive and, you know, we're all cheering each other on, but like the way that you go hard for everyone else, like I think you're really doing a lot to like uplift all of us who are in this biz. And Claudia and I get this question all the time where people are like, do you guys have like beef with other podcasts that are like similar to yours? And it's like, no, if anything, being around the people or talking to the people who do kind of a very similar job as us, like it's so nice to have that sense of community and just to have people you can like talk to, or when they come on the show and you just catch up and it's like, oh my God, can you believe like this is happening? And it's nice to have a few other people in this world who understand like pretty much exactly what you do every day and how you do it. So it's great to know you.
And like, no, it's so true though. Cause it's like, it's a community. And I want to touch on that a little bit later on in the show, just because you guys you're not just a podcast, like you guys are building an empire. So I feel like for me as a fellow podcaster, I look up to you guys and I'm like, wow, like look at all they're doing, you know, like you're kind of really blazing a trail for yourselves. And I feel like Beck and I can do that in our own way as well, you know? And so it's just kind of looking at you guys as inspiration. And so the podcast is called The Morning Toast.
Yes.
And I'm just such a big fan because I listen to it and I feel like it's literally like I'm talking to my best friends. You guys discuss, you know, Hollywood gossip, things that are going on, current events. So it's very timely, it's very daily. And it's, you know, the top 5 stories that you should know that day, but you guys really dissect them and give your own like unfiltered opinions. How did you guys come up with that idea? And then B, how did you decide like no holds bar, we're just gonna say it like it is?
Yeah, so Claudia and I have always been obsessed with pop culture, reality TV, entertainment news, celebrities, Kardashians, like since as long as I can remember. And we've been in the social media game for a while, and we're always obsessed with the idea of like a morning show, because we watched this movie Morning Glory a few years back. It's such a good movie if you haven't watched it, and it just made us really want to be morning show hosts. And then with the advent of like social media and live streaming and podcasting, we realized that we could start our own morning show. So that's what we did. It has taken on so many different forms. It started as a Facebook Live show and iterated so many different times that now it is a podcast and it is on YouTube. So we don't even do Facebook Live. We used to do Instagram Live. We don't do that anymore. I love the medium of podcasting because you can talk for as long or as short as you want. Like it's completely unfiltered. You can curse, and being on the internet, you can really say as much as you want or whatever you want. So it really works for us because we just have this totally open road in front of us to like talk in the way that we do. And because we are sisters, Claudia and I, a lot of our show is just based on that like sisterly dynamic between the two of us. And I feel like that's why so many people say when they're listening to it, they just feel like they're talking to their friends, because the way that we talk to each other, it's just so intimate but I also think it's very relatable for anyone else who has a close friend or a sibling who they talk to in the same way.
It's just like literally so funny because I'll be listening to it sometimes when I'm like on my runs, and like, so I'm completely by myself solo and I'll just be laughing out loud. And it's like so embarrassing, but so freaking funny because you guys just like, you say these things. Like I remember the one, I think I played it on the Vibe a few weeks ago where you were talking about Timothée Chalamet and how you just like don't get it. And
you
like,
don't.
So many of my friends say the same thing. They're just like, I just don't understand. And I like actually was like peeing my pants laughing, but it's just like you guys just really kind of go there. And I just find it so refreshing.
Yeah, we do. We try to go there like as often as possible, and just sort of say the things that you would say to your friends or the things that you might be thinking. And because we're a podcast and we're on the internet, like we have a little bit more leeway than someone on the television.
Have you guys ever heard from like a celebrity or somebody famous that you maybe said something negative about, or like, and they reached out and were like, what up?
Well, yeah. So I feel like this actually happens often, not necessarily like big celebrities, but especially like in the reality TV community, because now reality TV stars are influencers and vice versa. And so there have definitely been people who, you know, they'll get asked about, like, why don't they'll do a Q&A on Instagram and it's like, why don't you go on the morning toast? And they're like, oh, those girls don't like me. And there's actually been like a few different times that happens. And of course, when it happens, Claudia and I were like, what did we say? Like, we take it back. But actually the time that stands out the most to me is back in the day, we were not big Nick Viall fans at all. When he was on The Bachelor, we were just like devastated. We were Team Luke, which in hindsight is so embarrassing. And so we gave him a really hard time just recapping his season, etc. Then on his show one time, he had a guest on and our show came up and he was just like, those girls don't like me. And we had said like so many mean things about him. So for that to be all he said about us in retaliation, like we were like, oh my God, the maturity. And it came about where he was in New York and wanted to come on our show. And we were like, oh my God, we are going to have Nick on our show. We are needing to apologize and like, just, you know, eat our words.
It was a full circle moment.
It was a full circle moment. And now we are such big fans of his. He is one of the people who's been on our show the most amount of times. We've been on his show. We were completely wrong about him. He is such a great guy. And I'm so glad that like that we came full circle like that, because it actually has informed how we talk about other people going forward. And sometimes we're like, well, maybe they'll hear this. We'll say on the show, we'll start like talking about someone who's like doing something on The Bachelor and we're like, ooh, maybe they'll hear this, like, and then we're like, whatever.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you said that about Nick, because I had the same sentiment about him originally as well. And he came on our podcast, and after the podcast, I actually like said to him, I go, you know what? I didn't really like you very much when I met you, and you really turned it around for me today. Like I felt like I really got to know you better. And I fully told him, like I had full transparency, like right then and there. And I was like, I'm having like a full circle moment with you right now.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's just like him and it's not even us.
And then I want to talk about just kind of building an empire, because I feel like podcasts really have, they're bigger than what they seem, you know, like everybody's just like, oh, I want to start a podcast. I can just like sit, turn on a microphone, talk. But it's like, you guys really have a clear vision of who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. And you've developed so many different things. So you did, you know, you guys have merch and you've created Camp Toast. And I want you to just kind of talk about the different avenues that you've taken on with your podcast and where you see yourselves going in the future.
Yeah, so it's been great to like engage with our community, and so much of what we do is online and behind a screen, but like anytime we get to take it offline, it's always so exciting. I know you've done similar touring with Scrubbing In and like getting to meet the Scrub Sisters, and it's really so special because I think it goes back to what you said at the beginning, like when you're listening to a podcast or a good podcast, hopefully like you feel a connection to the people that you're listening to. And Claudia and I, through Facebook groups and, you know, Instagram and a million different ways, we've become connected with the people who love and listen to our show. And so so many of the things that we've done have either been, you know, just a natural next step, but also something where it's like, we did Camp Toast. We've done it 2 years in a row. And unfortunately this year we can't do it because of COVID. But Claudia and I love camp. We went to camp growing up every single summer. We talk about camp on the show all the time. And I think one morning we were recording the podcast. We had just done a live show in Nashville. And then after the show, a bunch of the toasters went to this bar. And so we went to the bar also. And we were saying how the night out with them, it just felt like camp. Like we were all together singing, drinking, laughing, and we're hungover. And I'm like, we should do Camp Toast. And then it started out as just like a jokey idea, like something that would be fun. And I think the next week I called up the camp that we used to go to because we knew that the grounds were available for rent, and we started like going through the process of what this would look like. And so that idea came about in June, and our first camp toast was the first weekend of September, and it was amazing. And then we did it again.
How many like campers?
So the first time at camp, there were about 90 campers.
Wow.
90 brave campers who came to the woods to meet their internet friends. And then also so many, like after the first camp, when it was all over social media and we were posting about it and we're like, this is the place to be. You know, there's food, there's water, there's alcohol, there's lodging, like we're taking care of you. Then by the next camp toast, we were totally booked up. Maximum capacity was like 250 people. And it was so rowdy and so much fun. And so now it's just become like this sort of staple in our community. And we do a lot of, you know, so something like that, it's just us being us and wanting to do the things that we love with the people who love our show. And like that, it just like came about in such a natural way. We also do merch, and we had, you know, we've done some live shows in the past, but I think our dream is to really bring the toast to real life as much and as often as possible, you know, to sort of break down that wall between like us streaming our show and people watching it at home.
So like more live events?
Yeah, like we love being in person and being live. Obviously now plans have sort of changed and the world has changed, so it's hard to imagine what things might look like again soon, but that's always been our goal, is just to make the toast in as many forms in your everyday life as possible, you know?
Yeah. That is so
and we also
awesome.
host other podcasts. We have a podcast network, and then like I do another show. I do my book club show. So just as many different ways that we can talk to you and talk about fun stuff as possible.
A lot of tentacles.
A lot of tentacles. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, just all over the board. Well, thank you seriously so much for being on the show. I am such a fan. You know, I love you guys and support you so much.
We love you too.
So
thank you.
Everybody check out the Morning Toast. Do give us the Morning Toast and all of your personal Instagrams.
Okay, you can follow The Morning Toast on Instagram at The Morning Toast. You can watch us on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is The Morning Toast, or you can listen as a podcast, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. And then also you can follow me at Jackie O Problems on Instagram, and you can follow my book club if you like to read at the Redheads Book Club. I do a monthly book club podcast with two of my best friends and my younger sister, and it's really fun.
Amazing. Thank you. Love you so much, Jackie.
Love you.